The stopwatch up there that they run. This morning they have no idea how long I'm going to talk, so we kind of start to train, but we don't have a lot of time to play around here. So, Josh, clear us out of here. He sends a signal, she gives 2 buzzes to the cap. They will answer back with 2 whistles. And they will also answer with the hand signal.
All aboard!
This signal is known as kind of the hand highball signal. Back in the day, a highball was around this on a tower. When it was at the top, it was considered a highball. If you as an engineer came in, you could just fly right on by. If it was all the way at the bottom, you had to stop. At the top, you just kind of slowed down. One of the big problems was we didn't have radios and things like that back then. Everything was done by timing. So if you as an engineer came through and went a mile and a half up the road around the corner and broke down, half an hour later that old highball's up, the next engineer comes through and all of a sudden we have a collision. Now of course that thing doesn't happen today. We have safety devices that usually don't allow that, especially in this country, and we're going to go into ours at a later point. Most of our accidents are at crossings where people try and beat the train.
And they lose.
And they most of the time go down. Now here we have crossings, but ours are usually guarded when we're having. What I mean is someone from the railroad who is crossing the train comes out, deactivates the signal, turn the lights red so the train can't come through. The first crossing is where our parade floats come in. Parade floats are the only thing allowed to cross that crossing. They come in and stage behind City Hall if the parade's starting on this end. If it's not starting on this end, they come out here and go back to where their stored and maintenance is done on. Now we use the signal too long, to short and long. It's the same signal they use on the trains today. Big difference is we run 10 miles an hour. They're running 90. They start about a mile and a half away from the crossing when they start blowing the train and hit the last one. So vehicles are not allowed to cross the crossing. They have to go across the next crossing. Has everybody been on the Pirates? Pirates of the Caribbean, where you know when you go down, that's where the train runs right overhead. So you go in, you walk through, you're in this building here, you walk through the queue, stand in line for an hour, 2 hours.
Fast pass.
You go down, you get on the boat, and you come up in this building over here. So Pirates is actually in 2 buildings. Now back when the park first opened, we only had 2 train stations. One at Main Street and the one here at Frontierland. They were both Victorian-style train stations. The one back here was just smaller. When they decided to build Splash Mountain, it was in the way. They tore it down, rerouted the traction. Back there is where our floats go to be worked on where they're stored. They go through and come around this way, all vehicles come along here. So they tore down the Victorian style, and then they gave us train station. This is between Halloween and Christmas. This is the only place you can come at Walt Disney World, or at least at the Magic Kingdom Park, and maintain your insanity. Because this is the only place in the park where they don't play Christmas music for 2 months straight. So if you're ever visiting and you get tired of that Christmas music, come over here. They play country and western. I'm not a country and western fan, but sometimes anything gets better than Christmas. Now next we have Thunder Mountain, which is another narrow gauge railroad. Narrow gauge railroads are used in mines and around mountains because they require less space. As we go forward, we're coming up to our swing bridge, which is part of Florida's railroad history. This bridge was owned by Henry Flagler and used on the Florida East Coast Railroad, which took tourists down to Key West. Today we fly them down to dump their money out of their pockets. It would be a lot faster. This was railroad was destroyed in 1935, Category 5 hurricane. We purchased this, it was over the Sebastian River. We narrowed it, brought it here. It still gets jacked up by hand like it did back in the 1900s. Rotated over. We used it to bring our riverboat up to its maintenance area. The riverboat boat runs on a rail. In other words, there's no steering for it. So when they take it through there, they open the bridge and actually push it through by hand. It takes about 40 minutes. There's an inch and a half turn.
Wow.
This is our backstage area. We have a herd of deer that live back here. How they got through the fence, I don't know. Last year they had a baby, a fawn. A lot of times when we're standing over there by those trees, it's almost like they're wondering why they won't talk to them. Sometimes if they're out by the track in the afternoon, they will stand perfectly still. I have to tell the guests, those are real if you want to take pictures.
Yeah.
Now, has everybody seen Walt's airplane over Hollywood Studios?
Yes.
Okay, well, after Walt purchased this over 33,000 acres here, he had his pilots fly him in. And they're out front walking around where we were this morning. The big difference is there was no lake back there then. That was man-made. They were wearing hip boots and waders. There was orange crows, swamp, gators, snakes. A lot like today. And the pilot said, Walt's telling me what's going on. And the man was amazing. It was like I was watching a movie. Walt told him, we're going to do a train station here up on the hill. Behind that, we'll have City Hall downstairs. Along the street with stores, a castle at the end, pathways gone. He said, the man is amazing. He said, I really almost thought I was watching a movie. Well, the amazing thing about this is back then, there were no blueprints. Not even any drawings, not even on a cocktail napkin. In Anaheim, everything was up here in Walt's mind. Walt felt he made a lot of mistakes when he built Disney. And he didn't want to make those mistakes here. Walt felt one of his worst mistakes was having to have cast members in costume walking through the wrong land, like someone from Space Mountain walking through Frontierland. It didn't look right. So here we built a utility or a tunnel system. Now the big problem in Florida when you build a tunnel or dig a tunnel is it becomes a tunnel of love because it fills up with water. So what they did was they actually built a tunnel above ground. Then they dug out the lake, the Seven Seas Lagoon, brought all that sand and put it around the tunnel and built up from there. So when you're standing on Main Street, you're actually on the second floor. This is our spur line where we're going to back off to the roundhouse.
Say that the signal light when it comes to a crossing
Long, short, and long. Exact same signal they use today.
Who watches out for Apache Indians?
We're going to back up over to the roundhouse. Now instead of the highball and the tutus, when we're ready and everything is cleared back there, she will give 3 buzzes and she will give the backup signal. They will answer with 3 whistles and the backup. Every time we successfully cross a switch, she sends them 3 buzzes to let them know we successfully crossed the switch. Because crossing switches is the most dangerous part of the whole operation. Believe me, they would probably know right away without the buzzes going on. But that's just one of the procedures. We have to follow all procedures every time we're coming to a crossing. A switch, stationary signals that we send, they have to be done every time. And now we're going to back up to actually a real live working crossing where cast members come in through the cast parking lot. And you'll see they get more aggressive with the whistle as we have people with cars crossing out there. Every time she sends them a signal, they have to answer back. Now when we come into our parking lot back here, we go through everything you guys go through at the car parking lot out front, except we don't have anyone to show us where the empty spots are. We come in, find a spot, lock our car up, walk over to the bus station, show our ID, have our bags checked, we get on the bus where we ride about 1.5 miles into the back of the utilidor, and then we walk out to our area. From where I get off the bus to where I met you guys out front is like 20 steps short of 1 mile.
Wow.
20 steps because the only thing we can use to measure it is one of them pedo meter things. And we measured it twice and it came up the same thing both times. Send them 3. Anytime she sends them, just to let them know that she's awake and doing her job, they have to answer back. Now we're going to back over to our roundhouse. There are a few things that I have to tell you about our roundhouse. Number 1, it is not round. It is a rectangular building with 5 bays downstairs where we store and do maintenance on our trains. Upstairs there are 10 bays for monorails where they also store the monorails and do maintenance on them. I don't know a lot about monorails because I'm in the early 1900s. The only thing I do know about monorails is that they can be very generous. As they pull out, they sometimes drop gifts like pliers, screwdrivers, something a mechanic may have laid on a frame or something. So if you see a monorail, it doesn't happen very often, once, twice a year. If you see a monorail pulling out, please walk away from it under it. Unless you need a pliers, or a screwdriver really bad.
What are the tubes?
Okay, this is an area where you can't take pictures.